ecosystem, not just in theory, but in practice also. In practice, we can see what works, what does not, and how actually it grows from where you are. And for this conversation, we have someone who has done the work across formats and platforms. For those people who have joined us for the first time, I would like to explain what Freecomers actually does. Freecomers is a focus community for independent filmmakers who are serious about building their careers. The film industry, as we know, is fragmented, information is scattered, access is unequal. Most filmmakers struggle not because of lack of talent, but because they don't have clarity and network or the right guidance at the right time. So how Freecomers help? Freecomers brings filmmakers into one structured space where they can learn, connect, collaborate, and understand the business side of cinema. We talk about festivals, funding, distribution strategy, and real execution, how actually filmmaking process works. So if you are building a film and want to grow with the right ecosystem around you, this is your space. Also understanding what Filmy Friday is all about. It's our open learning room where real journeys, real challenges, and real insights are shared. If you find value in these sessions, make sure you complete your Freecomers profile and write a post about what you learned from these sessions. And that is how we'll be building a serious community of people and not just like talking to each other on WhatsApp groups. Now I would like to take our time to introduce our speaker for today, who is Sulagna ma'am. So, Sulagna ma'am is a Mumbai-based writer and a director. She has close to 9 years of experience in writing and 2 years of experience in directing. She has written shows like First, Adulting Season 3, Feels Like Ishq, and Nishad. She has directed three short films, The Visit, Pehli Date, and Olaf. Her work consistently explores women navigating agency and identity with a strong focus on queer and inclusive storytelling, but in a way that feels grounded and human. She was recognized in Forbes Asia 30 and the 30 in 2025. She is also the founder of Women Film Circuit, a collective of more than 1,200 creators working towards collaboration and equity in Indian film industry. What I personally find interesting is that she's not just building products, but she's also building an ecosystem. So, ma'am, we are really happy to have you here. And so I would just like to begin this conversation by asking you, like, what is your journey? How has it been in the industry?
First of all, thank you so much, Freecomers, for this fantastic little introduction and what a great turnout. What has my journey been? So I did not really set out in this industry to like actually become a filmmaker. When I started working at the age of 18, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a digital marketing firm by the age of 25. Then I got into PR and I was like, no, I'm gonna start a PR agency by the time I'm 25. Films weren't even in my radar when I started. If at all, since I grew up with Indian television, there was this one thing that, okay, one day in some way or the other, I'm going to change Indian television and like, you know, get its glory back with like young storytelling or whatever. Things happened, and somehow I realized that, okay, maybe digital marketing and PR is not my thing, maybe writing is. And it was then that the journey started. It was 3.5 years of assisting, and now it's been about 6 years of independently writing. There have been a lot of struggles, a lot of pure unadulterated joy, a lot of writer's blocks, a lot of almost giving up, being like naked naye, and then realizing that I really don't know what else I can do with my life if I am not writing, or making films, or just creating hope and joy through art. So yeah, that's been the journey, like in a nutshell altogether. I have had the great pleasure and actually quite the good fortune of working with really interesting mentors when I was assisting with people who truly understood what I brought to the table, never really patronized me, kind of gave me the wings to fly, gave me the space to learn, to make mistakes, to do all of that. And then when it was time, they were also the people who told me कि अभी बहुत हो गया assist करके. now go and make your own things, because the more you keep persisting, you will just kind of get complacent in this space. Great advice, bad time, because I quit my job in January of 2020, which was just 2 months before COVID. But yeah, I mean, the reason I think Freecomers as a space is so interesting is because what my bosses did for me is what all of you guys are also doing for the entire community. And you often need people who just push you a little bit through conversations, through community, and all of that. So great stuff.
That's really great to hear, ma'am. So we would also like to understand at what point did you find it like clear you were feeling clear that you wanted this kind of stories you wanted to tell. What time did you feel?
I don't think there was ever a particular moment that I woke up and was like, okay, this is what I want to talk about, that I want to talk about either women or queer people or love. I don't think there's ever that one particular moment in a filmmaker's life. It's about initially when you start writing or when you start directing or when you start telling stories in any format, it's about writing what you know. It's about writing about experiences that you have had, characters that you have seen, like, or like things that your friends, your family have gone through. You kind of, your storytelling world is kind of limited because it's also safe and it's also easier to write about things you know. However, over a period of time, you also realize that what you know, that scope of things also needs to kind of keep growing, right? The more experiences you have, the more you travel, the more different kind of people that you meet, um, the more stories you hear from people who you are not directly connected with is what also inspires you. So I think for me, the fact that somehow I am now recognized as somebody who writes about women, writes about queer joy, writes about all of these things, I think it just came from a space of knowing, like writing what I know. So when the visit happened, which was my first, like which was my directorial debut, I was writing for like 3 4 years, like 2 years before that anyway, 2 3 years. Directing the visit just came from a place of really hating my periods, and I was like, what if periods are generally something like a demon? Because at that time I was like really mesmerized by horror in general, and I was like, okay, how about just mix this up? And the thing is, I wrote The Visit in 2017, I made it in 2020. Back then I had no intentions of directing whatsoever. I had spoken to a couple of people. It was just somewhere in the back burner altogether. um, but it all kind of came together miraculously in July and August of 2020, when I was working on this one project for Netflix. And my creative director really liked the way I wrote. And he was like, you know what? I kind of have this one little production house and we're doing short films because it's COVID time. So it was literally called Lockdown Shots. And he was like, do you have a script? And I was like, I do. Here is something I had written. And I just sent it to him. And he came back in like half an hour being like, okay, this is super cool. Let's make it. And I'm like, okay, find a director. And he was like, no, you are going to direct. And I was like, what? No, that's not gonna happen. So the visit happened very randomly altogether. And honestly, after the first time I directed, I had no intentions of directing ever again. Because I was like, this is too much man management. This is mujhse nahi ho payega ye. This is too chaotic. I remember the 2 days after shoot, I called up a very senior writer friend of mine and I was like, hey, does every writer need to want to direct? I am happy just being in my room, writing on my final draft. Is this essential? And she was like, no, not really. And I was like, cool, never doing this again. Good run. Nope, not happening. Till 2023 happened again. When Pehli Date happened, never wanted to direct. Um, ever again. I had written Pehli Date in 2019, and I finally made it in 2023 because 2023 November, because earlier that year, my best friends had basically peer pressured me into like directing again. They were like, if this story needs to be told, it needs to be told by you. And I was like, why do you guys hate me so much? So by the second time, I kind of got pushed into it again, and that's when I truly enjoyed it. Because one of the biggest learnings also was that you never enjoy your first directorial because there's just too much happening. It's a new ecosystem you're entering. But by Pehli Date, the thing is, I really enjoyed telling that story so much because as a queer woman who has not seen representation of queer joy on screen, I wanted to kind of do it in my own little way. I did not want to make a film that just gave a huge message about how much pain us queer people are in, any of that. I just wanted a simple story about two women on their first date. It was part tribute, part ode to like all the dates I had ever been on. It was part tribute, part ode to just the community altogether, because we deserve happy stories. We deserve stories of hope. And after that is when I truly started enjoying directing, because that process taught me to be a better writer also. Because when you start telling stories that you are truly sure about, whose truth you can see from the get-go, there is so much joy in bringing it to fruition altogether. And fruition does not just come with just finishing your draft. Obviously, that's where it kind of takes shape. But the entire organism is created when you are in edit and you're like, okay, maybe this one line that I really like does not work anymore. All of those things. So I think the love, my own voice, the question that you asked, that how did I find the voice of the stories I want to tell? I think it just happened by creating more and more. You first understand the kind of stories you probably don't want to tell or you can't tell right now. Then you slowly start realizing, oh, this is where I'm finding joy. Okay, this is hard. This is really, really strenuous. Everything is going wrong. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong. But this is fun. This is like raising a child you really like, you know? So, the more you keep doing that is how you know that, okay, maybe this is my voice for now. Maybe 2 years later, it'll evolve again, maybe change again altogether. And that's all right, I feel.
That's nice to hear your perspective. Okay, so moving forward, I would like to understand how should was there like how should filmmakers think about short films today? Like, is it a testing ground or something more?
I think I can only speak for myself and what short films have done to me or given me, because every single filmmaker will have very, very different answers to this. For me, short films honestly were the most, I won't say they were low stakes, because they were not, because I am so hard on myself. Nobody needs to be hard on me because I do that job for myself. But I think short films really made me understand, or gave me the confidence that I can direct. That okay, I am not just somebody who can sit in a room and create characters and make them say words that I don't know how they will actually be said on set. That I can actually bring an entire thing to life altogether, make the decisions, take the choices. Because especially as writers, often we are a little delusional, because I will just give you an example. uh, so I had once written this one line in one of my scripts, being like, and then she looked up at the sky looked hopeful. Now if I read it as a director, I want to slap myself. Because I'm like, I want the sky to act. What is happening over here? So I think when you're making short films, you have space to make mistakes. You have space to find new collaborators. You have space to really challenge yourself, but in a very protected space, but also on a very realistic level. Um, Short films truly, so there are only 2 to 3 people who short films really help. They would be the director, the DOP, and your actors. That's it. And maybe your production designer. Nobody else ke show reel pay truly matters how many short films you have done. Unless obviously it goes to festivals and then everybody is like, yay, we did it together, which is true. But if you are somebody who is honestly trying to test waters in whether you can direct long form, whether you can take an arc from, the 0 minute to an 8 minute, 10 minute, 20 minute, almost 30 minute, if at all, mark, that's a great space, because it teaches you how to adapt. It teaches you how to work with members. It teaches you a lot of that, plus gives you a great showreel to begin with. So it can be a mix of being a testing ground, a calling card, because there also are times where if you have a feature film idea, and you probably want obviously a bigger budget to kind of make a feature length film. um if you make a 15-minute proof of concept short film, then that you can take to producers and be like, hey, you know what, this is something that I have made. um Now give me money to develop it more, which is how Whiplash happened. The fact that, even though not the same zone, but like the fact that Andhadhun was also made of a short film, which is a French short film altogether, but there's a lot of that space also that kind of happens. Because what happens when you, even if you are a, if you, even if you've been a first AD for about 15 years, 12 to 15 years, when you finally decide to go and direct your first feature, somehow producers and studio execs will still ask, "Ki, okay, you have run a set, you have helped in logistics, you have literally run the set, but we still don't know if you can capture things visually." And then you're going to be left wondering, bro, but 12 years of experience, literally ran the biggest sets. What is happening? So, just to not have all of those things happen, it's always recommended that, okay, go on, make a short film. Uh, and then nobody can tell you that, oh, yeah, you don't have a show reel. Cool, you have assisted the biggest directors, but where is your work? So the thing that you require work to get more work is true. And I think short films are the best way to kind of find a little loophole and also work on your craft.
Oh, that's an interesting take. I would also like to ask a question. I read like you have written the season 3 for adulting. You have been part. So I would like to understand, like for writing a series for YouTube or something, and with something which already have a pre-season or all those things. So do you feel the pressure because the review is immediate, because you find the comments and people have their expectations? Because I watch a lot of YouTube series, so
Hmm.
I know, like, if watched a season 1 or season 2, so I am expecting like the season 3 to be. So do you feel the pressure, or how do you feel in that way?
So actually, like writing Adulting season 3 was really challenging because again, it's one of the most flagship shows of
Yeah.
Dice Media. Everybody loves Ray and Nikhat. Everybody had been constantly waiting, कि अच्छा कब आएगा season 3, कब आएगा season 3. And this was in the middle of COVID. Okay, so everything was happening virtually. This was, I think we started the project in March of 2021. We got done in July of 2021. So it was like a 3, 4 month project. Of course, the challenges were bigger because the show was also coming out after such a long time. We wanted the characters to have grown a little bit, but you still can't go completely away from what Ray and Nikhat are altogether, right? Because the reason why the audiences love them is because of how goofy they are. But we still wanted them to be like, okay, you know what, they're turning 25. Because what we also realized was that also the audience that was now watching Dice after so many years, they were also turning about 24, 25, right? So that's how, of course, it was really challenging because it was all happening on online. However, the show did not immediately release on YouTube. It was one of the first shows of Amazon Mini back in 2021. And back then, Mini was only available on Android. And so the thing is, we couldn't understand or get a lot of real-time reviews like you're talking about. Like comment sections are literally real-time reviews. And like now that I've put my short film Pehli Date on YouTube, I keep checking it every single night before I go to sleep. Being like, oh my God, what is happening? What's the verdict like? So but yeah, the love that we kind of got for Adulting season 3, I think uh kind of showed us that, okay, you know what, there is still space for just simple storytelling of like friendship and goofiness. um so yeah, it was challenging, but it kind of really paid off. And also, this was the first time, it was also a writer's room I was working in. Because before that, Life of Firsts, I just worked with my creative director for my Netflix show also. I did it all on my own. So actually working with two other people, very fantastic writers, Ashish and Jemima, it was a little challenging to also, वो सुर पकड़ना बहुत difficult हो जाता है when there are multiple people in a writer's room, right? So took us a little bit of a number of, back and forth, but I guess people still quote that show, so I think that's a win.
Yeah, interesting. I think the people here would also like our like session is about understanding what short films are about, and also about how crowdfunding and all works. So I would like to take the conversation there, and like, because we understand crowdfunding sounds really exciting, but how does it happen and what does it really take behind the scenes?
Okay, first things first, crowdfunding is not exciting at all. It is literally, it's almost like you're an entrepreneur who has created a demo of a product, or not even that, you just have an idea. And you're going around investors being like, hey, please trust me, it's gonna look good when it's made. Please just give me some money. So crowdfunding, so in the past 6 months especially, I've seen so many people on Instagram who are crowdfunding their films, and it is really heartwarming. However, it's heartbreaking also because I know the amount of hard work that it takes to kind of really reach out every single day, understand how much is the budget that you really like. You want to be indulgent, you want to kind of go a little higher in terms of scale, but you also don't know if you're expecting way too much by asking for that kind of money. What happens when you if you don't get that kind of money, all of that. So, for me, when I crowdfunded when I crowdfunded Pehli Date, it was more heartbreaking than heartwarming because I also made a lot of mistakes. This was the first time I was crowdfunding, and I had basically gotten inspired by an acquaintance, a filmmaker acquaintance, Onnono Brotto and Nishu, who were crowdfunding Kaisi Ye Paheli, the feature film, back then, and they had raised some incredible amount of money. And before that, like when I was thinking of, making Pehli Date, I had reached out to a couple of producers and I was like, okay, you know what, this is a film I'm trying to make. Would you be interested in kind of, producing it? And there was not a lot of interest. But somehow the story really stuck to me. And after seeing AB and Nishu's journey, I was like, okay, you know what, let me give it a shot. So I just really dove into the deep side of the water without really knowing much, without strategizing much, made a lot of mistakes on that. So I was only able to raise around 1.5 lakhs through that film. And I knew for a fact that I wanted to make the film before the year ended, which was 2023 ended. So I reached out to family. My sister kind of gave in the rest of the money, and that's how we made it. So Pelly Date was not completely crowdfunded, honestly. But one of my biggest learnings from Pehli Date, which I utilized in Olak, was you need a very, very strong strategy the moment you decide to crowdfund. It is also very, very integral that you understand if you are capable of crowdfunding, which is not a personal attack. It's a real thing. Because crowdfunding, if you are an introverted person, you will not be able to crowdfund because crowdfunding will ask you to show up every single day. People are putting money not in the project, but they're putting the money in you, in whoever they believe you are, in your perception as a filmmaker, as a friend, as an artist, as somebody whose work they have seen, any of that capacity. Because they really don't know what is going to be made. They don't care तुम वेनिस पे शूट कर रहे हो, तुम FX9 पे कर रहे हो या फिर तुम आईफोन पे कर रहे हो. Nobody cares about that. They are believing in you, your capacity, your conviction in a story. So if you can't show up for that, crowdfunding is going to be difficult. And you have to keep showing up. You can't be like, Acha, chalo, today I posted something, now next week I'll post something else. No, you have to kind of keep creating momentum, which I failed at when I did Pehli Date. Because again, like the first 2, 3 days were great. We got a lot of money. We got like some 70,000 in the first 3, 4 days itself. And I was like, wow, this is going to be great. And then, well, life happened and I kind of lost the momentum, which is where it also all kind of dropped down. So, A is to really understand if you have the bandwidth to crowdfund, because crowdfunding is going to ask a lot from you. If I can be honest, I have almost cried every other night in the past 4 months when I like from April to August when I was crowdfunding for Olak. Because again, when I started doing Olak, this time my goal was I want to raise 10 lakhs. Why 10 lakhs? Because I knew that I wanted this is going to be my last short film before I go into features. I wanted it to have scale. Now call me selfish, indulgent, whatever. I wanted it to have scale and I was not going to, doubt myself for wanting that, because people also have this one little thing that, oh no, short films should be made on very less money. And I'm like, no, that is That is not like that's a myth altogether. So I knew this time that I really wanted a particular scale. I had a great team of people who were veterans altogether. Like Deepthi Gupta was my DOP, who has been in the industry for almost 3 decades. Um, my production designer was Yashashvi Sabarwal, who was, well, the one of the PDs of All We Imagine Is Light. I had a 97% women-led team, the only three people being like men being my LP and my ADs, I guess so, and our music composer. So I knew I had a great team on board, and I wanted them to also be able to kind of do the best they can. And for that, I needed resources. So the first thing is also knowing key. The second thing you need to know is, okay, what all do I have? What all can I sell? For me, and I'll be very honest with me on Olak, having this team was in itself a huge selling point because it adds a certain level of credibility. The third thing you really, really need to do is you need to be as shameless as possible, which means you have to reach out to every single person that you know multiple times. You will get blue ticked. You will not get responses. Some people will say that, हाँ मैं कल तक करता हूँ ना नहीं करेंगे. You will have to keep adapting over and over. Like I remember during Olak, there was a point in May where the monies was just not coming in properly. And I kept being like, oh my God, nahi aayega, 5 lakh mein bana lete hai kya? And I kept telling my producer, I was like, bro, let's just like not wait. And she was like, shut up. We will adapt. So what we did, so initially what we were doing is, acha, you know what, give 500 rupees, give 1000 rupees, anything is fine. What I realized, you have to be very specific, and the specific ask needs to be really, really, really small. So what we did was, you know what, you don't have to give 500 rupees. All I'm asking from you is 300 rupees. That is one coffee. That is it. Now it's not a random something, because people often think कि अच्छा 1000 से कम अगर दिया तो देने का फायदा ही क्या है. Now if I am directly telling you that, listen, all I need is 300 rupees. 300 rupees is nothing. It's like an auto ka bhara, right? Trust me, in a day we crossed some 60,000 ka donations just by that little pivot that we kind of did. So it's a lot about thinking on like on your feet. Like there was a time where we also had two individuals who also kind of gave a substantial amount of money, because they've kind of now become our co-producers of sorts. But even then, both of those people do not know me. They have not worked with me, they have not done anything, but they have kept seeing how consistently I was posting about it, and how I was holding myself so accountable to every single bit of money that I was raising. So every 2 3 days I would be like, okay, you know what, this much raised, this much is left, where will this much money go, यहाँ पे ये जाएगा, यहाँ पे ये होगा, all of that. So what the industry, or what the people who are seeing your posts will expect from you, is transparency. So that is all that kind of goes. However, you also, one of the most non-negotiables when you are crowdfunding, when you're in general making a film, obviously, but when you're crowdfunding especially, it is very, 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 very important for you to have a great producer. And in this format, a producer is not somebody who is putting in the money. A producer is someone who is putting together everything else, because you need so many contingencies, right? You need contingencies for, अच्छा चलो अगर 10 लाख रेज हो गया तो कैसे बनाएंगे, 8 लाख हुआ तो कैसे बनाएंगे, 6 लाख, 5 लाख, 4 लाख, 2 लाख हुआ तो कैसे बनाएंगे हम लोग. Also, how much of that money are we saving up for festivals? How much of that money are we saving for post? What are we doing where? What is the overall journey going to be like? Because when you're making a film, you as a writer director can't also be handling production. And there are times you will lose major objectivity. And that is the worst thing you can do to your project. Being like, oh shit, like, I really want this, but this is not possible. Your producer will help you find a way out. Like the number of times my producer has helped me kind of really get myself out of my own head, being like, no, no, this is not possible, but trust me, I already have a solution. Here you go, this is what we're gonna do. So he or she or they are your right hand people altogether. They are the ones who handle half the stress for you. So always, always, always have that, because also what you need to realize about crowdfunding is there will be a lot of jugaad you're doing. A lot of it. People might not realize that. So like for me, on Olak, what all our HODs had come on board pro bono because they love the project. They also don't need like 5,000 rupees ka token amount to kind of do a project. However, every single person on the team has been paid, well, absolutely union rates altogether, right? Because those are things you cannot skim over. If your actors are coming on board for free, make sure you give them a vanity van. Those are things that you as a director might miss out on, but those are things that actually give your project a scale altogether. Make sure your catering is right, make sure people are treated well, make sure the bathrooms are clean. All of those things you as a director cannot be thinking about, but your producer will. So a great producer will save you so much money, so much hassle, and will get you so much more credibility. So I think, yeah, these are the main points. But yeah, ask me more questions and I think I would realize what I have missed.
Yeah, so I think I would like to understand also, like, people I know may have trust on me and
Hmm.
give me money, but people who don't know me, how
Hmm.
would I convince them to put money? So, for example, if a person puts 1 lakh rupees on my project,
Hmm.
what does he expect from me?
So see, usually in short films, the ROI model does not work. Anybody who is contributing money should not, cannot expect returns because returns look very different for short films. First of all, usually for most short films, you kind of go the festival journey run, right? And usually most of your HODs will come on board pro bono. So if at all, whatever you earn from, say, festival screenings, if your film goes to like an Oscar qualifying festival or some of the biggest festivals, you will get some amount of festival screenings. If you go there, you will meet probably more programmers, more local people altogether who might be able to give you a digital release in their specific areas. Like suppose if your film goes to France, then maybe for a while your film might be available for some place in France. You get some money from there. So that's usually what the journey is like. And then you do a final digital release in India, maybe on a YouTube, which is not, I mean, it is okay, I'll come to that later. But there's a possibility usually of, YouTube, or if your film is of that caliber, then it kind of does go on movie. Or if it goes to like an Oscar qualifying level, then it might get acquired by Netflix. Any of those things can happen, but the amount of money you truly get from that is comparatively very negligible. What you get is viewership, what you get is just credibility. Again, just it's about you as the director being like, hey, you know what? I made a film which went places. Now you give me more work. Basis that. So it's basically a little showreel for yourself and a little bit of more credibility, right? So any person who is contributing to your project, you have to be very, very clear that you know what, this is not something I am promising any return. However, the kind of transparency that we gave to our co-producers was that, okay, first of all, your names will be there everywhere, every media release that we have, every promotional thing that we have, all of that, your name kind of goes over there. Secondly, whenever we do earn some money and we kind of get to a point of break even, if at all, uske baad jo bhi aega, first of all, it'll go to the HODs. After that, it'll come to you in terms of a percentage. So that is how you have to kind of deal with it. Now, second point which you asked was that how do you even convince somebody who does not know you to put in money? It is by putting yourself out there. Conviction is what pays off in a space like this. It's about utilizing what you have and helping and getting them to help you more. Like suppose like somebody so I think there were two posts when I was crowdfunding for Olak that I did boost on Instagram out of my own pocket, not out of my film budget, because I was like, nahi yaar, kar lete hain. And out of that, I kind of found this one person who messaged me being like, hey, you know what? I don't know you. I don't know your film. I'm not even from the industry at all. But something about the way you spoke in your reel really kind of got to me. And this is how much I can pay you. And I was like, damn, this person does not know me, has no connection whatsoever to the industry. Sorry, has no connection whatsoever to the industry, but here they are somehow believing in me because, like, I know it might sound a little like, oh wow, iffy, whatever, but it is about your conviction and the way you talk about your film. Because your films, especially your short films, do come from a personal space. Everybody who is either watching you make that reel or watching, that post of yours about making the short film knows कि तुम इससे कुछ पैसे नहीं कमाने वाले हो. Nobody on planet Earth thinks that any short filmmaker earns money out of their short films. Okay. So, yeah, so it's primarily about the way you talk about your story. Why, like, start with why. Why do you want to tell the story? Tell it to the world. I want to tell a story about this because you know what, this is very important for me. This is the kind of story I want to try and create. And you can help me bring it because I don't think these kind of stories do get producers. Also, everybody knows कि short film producers होते नहीं है इंडिया में. Barely, if at all. People would be like, okay, you know what, we will give you equipment for free. And we will give you lights for free and maybe all of that. But a person to truly put money in short films, very, very few of them. So that's a known thing. So, yeah, so basically, you need to tell people and convince them why. Why should they pay you for the 500 rupees that they are? And then you hold that 500 rupees that anybody pays with utmost respect. That's how you kind of convince another person to put in their 500 rupees. That's how you kind of get somebody to amplify your project. All of that. Another thing which really helps, and this is where again I'm going to restate and underline and bold it, you have to be shameless. Whichever writer, director, producer, actor that you know in the industry, you have to reach out to them. I have texted Zoya Akhtar, out of all people. She has not responded, but I have messaged Zoya Akhtar. However, Varun Grover did repost my story, and that did get me some donations altogether. All of that, So message every single person. क्या हो जाएगा? Maximum से maximum क्या हो जाएगा? कोई response नहीं करे. Like, respond nahi karega, right? Okay, it will hurt your ego, but you should have thought about your ego before and wanting to make a short film. So it is as simple as that. You have to let go of your ego. You have to be like, you know what, this film is bigger than me. So what if there are two more blue ticks that I have to kind of be like, oh my God, are they gonna think I'm being desperate and needy? Yes, you are. You are making a film. But yeah, so that's how you do it. Like there was this one person whose work I really like, okay, and I had reached out to them and they had not responded. And then 1 week later, they just randomly called me out of the blue and they were like, "Oh my God, yeah, no, this is so cool. Let me know whatever help you require." I'm like, "Yeah, money." And he's like, "You know what? Give me like till tomorrow. I am going to transfer it." And I was like, "Cool." And I waited 1 week, nothing. 2 weeks, nothing. I followed up with them once, no response. Second time, no response. By the third time, thankfully, one night at like 9 o'clock, I was like, okay, money transferred. I'm like, okay, nice, all right. So that's what you need to do if you really feel that somebody is going to pay them because life gets difficult, right? Life really does get difficult. People miss out on messages at times a good enough little nudge. Like I believe in the method of 3 times maximum. So 3 times a follow-up, uske baad you give up on it. But 3 times that it's fine, but not like every day. Give it like 3, 4 days and be like, hey, just checking in and stuff like that. So simple little persuasion without entitlement is the right way to go altogether. And yeah, so that's how you convince people. And then you also cry yourself to sleep at night because it's going to be very hard and you let yourself cry because it's also important because what you are doing what you're trying to do which is basically community building uh, a film like 500 rupees by 500 rupees, right? So that is hard and you can't not sit with the fact that this is a lonely journey. So acknowledge that, cry about it, rant about it, drink with your friends, then get back the next day and make a reel. That's how you do it.
That's like I'm not from industry, but I'm understanding how struggling it is and how consistency and perseverance is what can take you forward.
Yes.
I'm very less aware, but I would also like to understand, are there any platforms also with support film crowdfunding? Or is it just reels
So
and
when I was crowdfunding for Pehli Rate, there was I did it on Keto, even though Keto is
get
not.
it?
I don't think Keto supports films anymore. But then I think there's Fuel a Dream. There used to be Wishberry, which is no longer, which does not exist anymore. But Wishberry truly did create a lot of great films. So there is Fuel a Dream. There is I can't think of the other platforms. But usually, what I've seen, especially all the films that my acquaintances have been making this year, most of them usually do it with their own personal Google Pay and stuff like that itself. Because what also helps is that usually these platforms also take like a 15% or like 10% kind of a platform fee. Why do you want your money to kind of go to a place where, like, even if it's like 2,000, 3,000 rupees that goes in your platform fee, that would be better used for a light or good catering or something like that, right? So, and also another thing you have to remember is make it as easy as possible for people to donate. So, QR code, simple, just be like, just, you know what, just scan this and just pay whatever. Don't give them very con convoluted or complicated steps. If you don't go into the entire link in bio thing, because that barely works. Every post that you put out, make sure you add, if you're doing a carousel post, make sure you add the QR code at the end of it. If you're doing a reel, make sure you have like a stay of 5-10 seconds after the reel is over with just the QR code. If you're texting people about doing like a broadcast message of sorts, make sure you add the QR code over there. Another very important thing before you start crowdfunding, the first people, however, you need to reach out to is your friends and family. They should be, crowdfunding cannot, should not be your first choice. I will never romanticize it. Um, because even if you get like at least a lakh even from your friends and family combined, then it kind of, at least you know that your film is going to get made. Maybe on a DSLR, maybe on whatever, but it has some kind of a push altogether. And it won't make you feel so disappointed as you would if you don't raise the same 1 lakh in like crowdfunding altogether. So that also, understand your audience. Understand who your audience is and where they are. Is your audience more on WhatsApp through broadcast messages? If you have a private account on Instagram, how will you reach them? Through crowdfunding, right? So you have to put yourself like there. Like, if you're more active on Twitter, maybe utilize that. If you're more active on Facebook for whatever reason, if you still are, use that. All of that. So understand where your audience is, what kind of content are they looking at. For some reason, I realized very quickly that my reels were not reaching as many people as my carousel posts were. So I started doing that more. I started understanding what time does it, does engagement actually spike for me. Use your Instagram dashboard or whatever, all of those things. So figure out, so you have to do your little bit of R&D when you are starting your crowdfunding strategy altogether. And you also have to be ready to keep pivoting to different things if something is not working. Be okay to ask for help also and be like, guys, please help. I am not understanding. Can you just repost this? At times, like, thankfully for me, one of my biggest like support systems has been women film circuit, which is the community I run. Because like the kind of way these women have amplified the project, have kind of truly stepped up, I will forever be grateful. So find those people, because that is what's going to truly help at the end of the day.
That's great. I think it would have been really helpful to few how they would like to raise money if they want to create a film. Now, I would like to open the floor to the questions from the audience. If anyone wants to ask, you can raise your hand and then I can unmute you. Yeah, I think Akshay has a question. And
First of all,
yeah,
hello Sulagna ma'am.
Please don't call me ma'am.
Okay, hello Sulagna.
Hi, Akshay.
Hi. So, just two questions. One is that do you believe that because you try to narrate stories which are very inclusive, including women, queer people, and other people, do you believe? I'm just asking your personal opinion. Do you believe that films like, say, Kabir Singh or Animal, which, according to many people, not
Hmm.
me, not me, according to many people, they call it very male chauvinistic or very, filled with testosterone and what kind of terms they bring up with? Do you believe that they have the right to exist in the film industry circuit, or should it not be made?
I think I am nobody to, comment on what should be made, what should not be made. It just, I think they are made, and I just really wish that people had more sense in not making them. But we can't censor things. We can just hope कि लोगों में थोड़ा ज़्यादा विवेक हो, थोड़ा ज़्यादा understanding हो of where we are, the kind of stories and the way stories and films affect individuals, affect the community altogether. Uh, so yeah, primarily that.
Okay, and second question is that
Akshay, we'll give everyone chance and then you can ask the second question. Akshat has
all right.
yeah.
We have Akshat has a question and unmuted.
Hi, Sulagna.
Hi.
Yeah, I have a question which interestingly follows up from what my almost namesake said. I think is how important do you think it is for writers and filmmakers to read? And when I say read, meaning read beyond what it is about the craft to write or make films, to broaden their horizons.
I think the writer that I am today is primarily because I have been reading since I was like 8 years old. I think the way books open up your world to so much more is like it is. I often don't understand how, in general, screenwriters or directors can, afford to not be readers altogether. I think what books often do is it gives you, like, especially as filmmakers, I feel we only think in visuals. We only think in acha, show, don't tell. But it is also so important to also understand the other aspect of art, which is books, where there is so much that you can make out of just words, right? So, I think for me, I remember when I started writing on screen for screen, um, half the craft I knew was because I had read, because I could understand characters in far more depth, which you can't often see on screen. So yeah, so I really think that it is very important for writers or directors or in general any artist of any medium to be readers for sure.
I think that answers Akshat's question. I would like if anybody else has any question regarding short films or crowdfunding, if they want to ask anything, you can raise your hand. Akshay has. Yeah, Akshay had one more question. You can go ahead, Akshay. We have Tanvi has one question. Tanvi, you can unmute yourself for Akshay.
हेलो मैम, मैं तन्वी हूँ. हेलो मैम, आई एम तन्वी.
Hi Tanvi.
ओके मैम, सो आई वांटेड टू नो दिस थिंग दैट एक्चुअली मैंने कुछ एक बार एक क्राउड फंडिंग ऐप को एक्सप्लोर किया था. मतलब फंडिंग के लिए कुछ डाला नहीं था, मतलब ऐसे. पर हाँ, ये था कि क्राउड फंडिंग ऐप को मैं एक्सप्लोर किया था. तो मैम ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि हम किस तरह से उसको पिच को बनाए कैसे, मतलब.
ओके, तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट तो है फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बहुत स्ट्रांग आपकी लॉग लाइन होनी पड़ेगी, बहुत ही ज्यादा, बिकॉज आजकल वैसे भी इन जनरल जब आप कोई भी फिल्म पिच करते हो, टू अ प्रोडक्शन हाउस, टू अ स्टूडियो, व्हाटएवर, आपका वो जो वन लाइनर होता है जो 40 वर्ड्स के आसपास का होता है, जिसमें आपको पता चलता है कि ये कहानी है, दिस इज अ स्टोरी अबाउट एक्स एंड वाई, ट्राइंग टू नेविगेट एक्स एंड वाई, ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है. जैसे मेरा पहली डेट का लॉग लाइन था कि when 45-year-old Astha and 35-year-old Priya Malhotra go on their first date together, what awaits them is a day of questioning heteronormativity, second chances, and navigating awkwardness. That in itself tells you everything कि ये कहानी किस बारे में होगी, right? तो एक आपका बहुत ही important है बहुत स्ट्रांग लॉग लाइन होना, एक प्रॉपर डेक बनाइए, पीपीटी बनाइए कैनवा पे जाके या पीपीटी में जाके, एक अच्छा सा कवर पेज ऑफ व्हाट द स्टोरी स्टैंड्स फॉर। अभी तो आप वो एआई से भी कर सकते हो, बट इफ यू हैव, आई वुड प्रेफर इफ यू हैव पोस्टर डिजाइनर फ्रेंड्स जो आपके लिए थोड़ा सा कुछ कर ले, या फिर आप कैनवा पे जाके थोड़ा बना लो, तो एक अच्छा कवर पेज विद योर टाइटल, उसके नेक्स्ट पेज पे द लॉग लाइन, देन आपका बेसिक सिनॉप्सिस कि क्या कहानी है, एक स्लाइड के अंदर ही, ज्यादा बड़े में मत बताइए। उसके बाद लिटिल बिट अबाउट द कैरेक्टर्स कि कौन है ये कैरेक्टर्स, एंड अगर आपके दिमाग में ऐसा कोई पर्टिकुलर एक्टर है जो आप चाहते हो कि ये प्ले करे या फिर ये जोन है, उनका फोटो। फिर उसके बाद आपका जो टीम मेंबर्स अगर आपके ऑलरेडी है तो उनके बारे में थोड़ा सा, एंड देन फाइनली अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ अ लुक एंड फील ऑफ योर फिल्म प्राइमरीली, कि अच्छा यू नो व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ शॉट्स, द ट्रीटमेंट फ्रॉम द डायरेक्टर्स साइड। तो ये आप लोगों, ये आप इंस्टाग्राम में मत डालो बिकॉज ये बहुत ज्यादा ही हो जाएगा, बट ये चीजें आपके पास अगर रेडी होती है तो यू कैन कीप मेकिंग डिफरेंट डिफरेंट पोस्ट्स आउट ऑफ दैट। जैसे एक आपका हो गया कि मीट द टीम का हो गया, एक आपका हो गया कि यू नो व्हाई दिस स्टोरी, व्हाई डू आई वांट टू टेल दिस स्टोरी, उसका आपका एक पोस्ट हो जाएगा। एक आपका पोस्ट हो जाएगा कि यू नो व्हाट दिस इज अबाउट द फिल्म इज गोइंग टू लुक लाइक, तो आपका मूड बोर्ड या फिर ट्रीटमेंट का। So you kind of also get a lot of content from that. Plus जब आप प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टर्स से बात कर रहे हो, फिर थोड़े ऐसे लोगों से बात कर रहे हो जो थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा, थोड़ा ज्यादा नॉर्मल से ज्यादा पैसा देंगे, उनको यू कैन सेंड द डेक, बिकॉज यू विल ऑल्सो हैव टू सेंड द डेक टू यू नो योर टीम मेंबर्स, टू योर एक्टर्स विद along with the script. So that's what you need to primarily do.
ओके। सो मैम ये जानना था कि मैम हम टारगेट कैसे करें अपने पोटेंशियल उनको, मतलब ऐसे बिकॉज क्या है ना मैम, को देने को भी इतना राजी होता नहीं है मैम, मतलब ऐसे जो
वो
टारगेट
आपको
कैसे
धीरे
करें?
धीरे, सो LinkedIn is a great space. Write a good post. Ask that you're looking for, you know, contributors who are, or patrons who are willing to शायद से pay more than 50,000. तो ऐसा आपको ब्रेक डाउन करना पड़ेगा of just
हाँ मैम,
contributors.
बिकॉज बताओ मैम बात क्या है मैम, बात पता है ये है कि मैंने रिसेंटली एक एनजीओ में भी काम किया है, तो वहां पे भी मतलब मैं क्राउड फंडिंग ही कर रही थी।
Okay.
वो ऐसे ही, तो फिर मतलब उसका एक्सपीरियंस तो है, मतलब ऐसे थोड़ा सा, लेकिन हाँ, उसके लिए भी धक्के खूब खाने पड़ते हैं, तो देखते हैं कि किस तरह से वो करते हैं।
Yes. So primarily आपको क्या करना है कि figure out आपका मेन चंक आपके 500-600 रुपए वालों से ही आएगा। 300 to 1000 जो लोग
हाँ
पे करेंगे, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी योर बिगेस्ट चंक ऑफ पीपल।
हाँ
सिलेक्ट ओनली 1 or 2 पीपल जो आपको, अगर आपका सपोज आपका 10 लाख का प्रोजेक्ट है, उसमें से
हाँ
आप एक या दो जन को पकड़ लो हु हु शुड गिव द 1.5, तो वो आपके
हाँ
को प्रोड्यूसर्स हो जाएंगे जिनको ऑल्सो रेवेन्यू शेयरिंग में कभी कभी वट मिलेगा। फिर आपका आता है उसके नीचे वाला विच इज एनीवेयर अबव फ्रॉम 1000 रुपीज टू लाइक 1 लाख रुपीज और 1.5, या फिर अगर 50,000, सॉरी 50,000 से 1.5 तक जो लोग देते हैं उनको एक पर्टिकुलर ऐसा पेट्रन्स का या फिर यू नो स्पॉन्सर्स का क्रेडिट दे दो आप। दैट्स व्हाट वी आल्सो डिड, वेर वी वर लाइक यू नो व्हाट, यू डोंट जस्ट गेट लाइक अ कंट्रीब्यूटर्स के लिस्ट में, जो टाइटल लिस्ट में वो आएगा उसमें नहीं, बट यू विल गेट स्पेशल mention altogether of like supported by or like you know patrons. So that's how you kind of create those blocks also कि अच्छा ये तीन है, अगर ये कंप्लीट हो गया तो अभी इस पे थोड़ा सा फोकस कर लेते हैं, अगर ये हो गया तो इधर पे फोकस कर लेते हैं। That's how you have to kind of strategize.
ओके, आई अंडरस्टूड मैम, समझ में आ गया मैम, थैंक यू।
Thank you so much. All the best.
वेलकम मैम, वेलकम। सो मैम ओ
Thank you, Tanvi, for your question.
Akshay has a question, so I'll let him ask, and then I also have a question, so I'll ask after that.
Yeah. So Lagna, the thing is, the second question that I wanted to ask is that since you mentioned that reading is very, 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 very important for being a filmmaker. So, gonna be honest about myself. I'm quite a lazy reader. I don't read at all. So, but how to develop that kind of a habit and that too at the earliest stage possible, because I'm like in my early 30s. So I've not read except for the school textbooks and all that.
Right.
Except for all of that, I didn't read any book or so. Or even if I read, I just read very selected novels, very selected. or mostly magazines. So apart from that, how to develop a reading habit in which I get to see stories through even news articles or even
Right.
through, say, storybooks.
Hmm.
How to
Okay,
do that?
so I am a neurodivergent person. So these days, in the past 1, 2 years, it's been really difficult for me also to pick up hard copies of books and kind of read them because my brain will just scatter. When I say read, I mean read anything. Read, go to like, I don't know, except on Twitter, don't go on Twitter and read anything. But like go read articles, go get yourself, if you like magazines, do that. You will get so many story ideas from that. Go, read up random blogs, go on Medium, find out, authors that you probably like. It's not necessary that you only read books. It is just important to kind of you'll get so many random real life stories. Go on Reddit and find out stories if you want to. Like there are times there's this one idea I'm working on which somehow got inspired by an Am I the Asshole story that I read on Reddit. Okay, so you can read whatever you want to. However, if you do want to get into fiction or non-fiction or just real books if you want to, and you think it's a little overwhelming for you to pick up a hard copy, audiobooks are your best friend, buddy. Audiobooks are my best friend also. There is an app called Evrind, which used to be called as Scribd, SCRIBD. It's like 299 a month. It's like the Netflix of books. They have ebooks, they have um, audiobooks, they have podcasts, they have everything. So yeah, just pick that up. And while you're maybe cooking, also you're listening to a book. And slowly and gradually, you will kind of come back to it. Because even for me, I was an avid reader growing up, but in my early mid 20s, I suddenly lost again. Just life happened and I lost the habit of reading. However, during COVID is when I somehow got back to it through audiobooks. And then I hyperfixated and got back into like real reading. But yeah, pick whatever feels the most non-pressure for you because you would want to find the joy in whatever you're consuming and not just because, oh, I'm supposed to do something. So do it on your own terms, and maybe it's a small little book, maybe it's a graphic novel that you want to start reading first. Why not? So there is no one particular way of reading, just read so that you truly start appreciating another medium altogether.
Bhanu, thanks, Akshay. Bhanu, you can ask.
Do anyone else has a question? I want to give other people chance first. Um,
I can't see
no,
any
then
hands.
I will ask. I'm sorry for the noise if there is in the background because I'm sitting.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, very amazing story, your journey to raise fund for film. I just want to understand. So, most of the filmmakers to put them out every day on Instagram, it's a very difficult thing. What I have because with this startup of Freecomers, I have been doing this research for 1 year, and it's not easy for them, and that's why we are trying to create it in a more structured form where you don't have to depend on your algorithms of LinkedIn, or you don't have to you depend on Instagram. We're trying to unite everyone round the corner and round the world together. So now, just I want to understand from you the importance, which you have already told, that it is very important to put yourself every day, make a post, speak to people. Still, what is the basic, even if you're like somebody else's niche is very introvert, still how they should, kind of actually practice it and make it, because this is the world today. It's all global. You have to put it out yourself. You have to write every day. Then what do you think some of the steps you can recommend for them so that they could use this particular tool to create their
Hmm.
first film?
Um, Very interesting question, a very tricky question also, because being the slight ambivert that I am, I barely think about that. But I think one of the first steps is also to understand your support system. And a support system is something that we often don't think about much when we are thinking about making a film because it's just like very me, right? That my story, I want to tell a story. But no, especially when in this format, your team is as important, if not more, to the story as much as you are. Um, Rely on them. Like I remember very early on. So when I had just started putting up, the crowdfunding post, and like the crowdfunding had been live for maybe 2, 3 weeks, and we weren't like properly getting the momentum I had expected. And I was crying and ranting and eating chicken with my with my production designer Yashasvi, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. It's not happening. What if I have to like reduce the budget? And she just held my hand and she was like, you know what, Sola? Literally, I'm telling you, use me and Deepti. If we are the ones who are selling your film, if we are the ones जिसकी वजह से कुछ लोग तो ओ वाह ओके बोलेंगे और पैसे देंगे, do that. It is very important. If you are not that person who with जिसके basis पे आप film बेच सकते हो, first of all acknowledge that it's okay. Secondly, on a very realistic front, figure out how much is the least amount of money that you require to make the film. Your first film should not be, I won't say should not be, there's no should not be anyway, but it's better if your first film is comparatively more grounded in terms of money, because you also want to be encouraged. You don't want immediate disappointment in your first film. So for my first film, I still had a producer who kind of um gave in whatever little bit of money. However, मेरा मेरे घर से 2 सूटकेस भर के आर्ट का सामान गया था. So that's the kind of jugaad you will be doing at some way or in some way or the other constantly. So for your first film, always make sure that it's comparatively low stakes, low risk, low investment. Because you are testing waters, the audience is testing waters, everybody is testing waters, your collaborators are testing waters with you. Once you make that, once you realize that, okay, this seems doable, and this is worth the chaos of creating anything, then go a little higher. Also, another thing that somehow people keep forgetting. Wait, just raise your hands. How many people here are from Mumbai? Not many? I can't even see how many people are raising hands. Anyway, like, okay, so the point here is that a lot of people often keep thinking that the only way you can shoot is to shoot in Mumbai. Shooting in Mumbai is very expensive. If you are not from the city, if you can manage to probably take a very small crew of people and go and shoot in like a Lonavala, Mahabaleshwar, Pune, whatever, in a very small little way, do that. You will save a lot of money. If you can shoot in your hometown, again, with not a huge setup, like during COVID, when we shot my first film, we had a team of 15 people. That's it. Our our first AC was only handling our lights. Maybe we had one light dada altogether. Very, very little team. So there's a way of doing everything. So maybe just so that you understand what you are capable of, make your first film slightly more cutely and then go the big way. Because then you will also be so much more confident even in asking for the right kind of money that you want. So I think those are the main things, that don't overestimate yourself, don't underestimate yourself. It's about finding the right little balance of realistically मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ, what all resources do I have, how much jugaad can I do. There are so many production houses, so many not production houses, a lot of vendors that you will find who will more than be more than happy to kind of support you with equipment. There is Prime Focus, there is Light and Light, there are a lot of vendors. And most of these people, if you have a 1 or 2 day shoot, they will not mind giving you lights for free. You will just have to pay the boys because that kind of comes with that. So आपका आधा पैसा वहीं पे बच जाएगा. If you get a house that you can shoot in, great, but please make sure you have permissions. Otherwise तुम्हारा shoot बीच में रुक जाएगा, especially in Mumbai. Again, a good producer will help, solve half of these problems for you whatsoever. A good producer will help you be like, you know what, why are you spending 8 lakhs on this? ये तो आराम से 5 में हो जाएगा. और like अगर 5 लाख रेज हुए भी है, a good producer will also tell you कि नहीं 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 नहीं, इसमें से सिर्फ 2.5 लाख हम लोग प्रोडक्शन में खर्चा कर रहे हैं, 1 लाख हम लोग फेस्टिवल के लिए बचा रहे हैं, बिकॉज यू नीड अ गुड फेस्टिवल रन फॉर दिस. सो ऑल ऑफ दैट ऑब्जेक्टिव आइडियाज इज व्हाट यू विल गेट फ्रॉम अ गुड प्रोड्यूसर. So yes, whether you're making a 10 lakh project, a 20 lakh project, or a 2 lakh ka project, non-negotiable. Great producer. And I have a great one for you guys if you guys ever need a good contact. So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I think this was very helpful. We have also struggled while we were creating our first film. and I'm sure a good producer is important. Agreed. And I'm sure with this new attempt which we're gonna make, this could be like the biggest learning for us. Okay, so we have a question from Isha. Could you also tell how we could expand our network and find more team members? Join free comers.
Yes.
Please, you go ahead.
No, absolutely. See, community is where it kind of stems from. Community is like any good community where filmmakers come together to learn and grow. That is what is the most important thing, because otherwise, this journey is going to get so lonely. Put out casting calls, put out collaboration calls for people that, okay, you know what, these are the kind of people I'm looking at. If anybody wants to collaborate, limited budget, no budget, whatever, be clear, be transparent, and more people are more than happy to kind of join in, you know. However, one little asterisk I'm putting over here: be very careful in selecting your team members. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of first time filmmakers do, and it comes not from a place of not knowing, it just comes from a place of यार साथ में कुछ बनाते हैं, कुछ अच्छे से बनाते हैं, और तू तो यार है मेरा. What you have to realize is that your film is going to outlive तुम्हारी यारी दोस्ती. Best situation, you guys will go to the Oscars together someday. However, not having a great team member on your side, or not even on your side, on your film side, is the worst thing you can do for your film. Pick team members, especially your HODs, pick them with a lot of due diligence. That will make or break your film altogether. You need people who understand that they are not doing you a favor, they are collaborating. There's a difference between these two words, and a lot of people initially, even me included, we don't understand that difference altogether. So pick teams members very wisely. Also, very unpopular opinion, but you're also allowed to let go of team members if they are not working out for you. And it will hurt you. You will feel like the worst person on planet Earth. कि अच्छा मैं तो pay भी नहीं कर रही हूँ और ऊपर से I am, throwing tantrums or whatever. No. Whoever comes onto a project also needs to realize that they are doing it for the film. You're not putting pointing a gun at their head and making them work. It's still like, even if you're doing it out of friendship, the moment you're working on a project, it's a professional space, and everybody needs to kind of respect that. So yeah, pick your team members very wisely.
Yeah, so someone has an add-in question, like how do you select them? Like what qualities do you look for in that person?
That completely depends on project to project. If you're picking a DOP, really understand how okay are they with comparatively minimal lights? How okay are they with what kind of, like, see their show reels, see if they truly match what you have in mind. If you want somebody who is, more than capable of actually shooting more handheld, is this DOP, can this DOP do that? Have conversations about it. Does their showreel effect like showcase that? If you're looking for a production designer who can create a set that is more lived in, has this person done that, or have they mainly done advertising? If you need an editor who can play more with silences, is this person capable of doing that, or have they only done actions? It's not to say that, any of these people can't do the other thing, but it's about understanding the wavelength altogether of whether you can see them understand your script the way you are understanding it. So it will happen from a lot of trial and error, but spend a little bit of time examining multiple people before you settle onto one. So that is the way you like, and you will keep understanding through every project. Like, I know for a fact that from my first film to now my third, and now that I'm writing my feature, I know that what I want from my HODs has also changed. I have also stopped being, at least tried to stop being a people pleaser as a director, because I was also too scared of like, अरे नहीं, इनको बुरा लगेगा अगर मैंने उनको ये बोला कि ये work नहीं कर रहा है. And then a friend of mine had to be like, so like, now you're making a film. Like, your friends are allowed to be mad at you for a while, but they will also understand that if it's not working, it's not working. And then you give them clear vision of why it's not working and how do we find a solution together, and you do it together. So yeah, basically that.
I hope that answers this question.
Yeah, I think we have already crossed the time as well. And it was a very amazing session. And we have really, with this session, what I have realized that we have really focused on real problems while creating the films, and I'm sure everyone would have benefited out of it. And these are some of the problems we are trying to also solve on Free Commerce, because when we used to see those WhatsApp
It's
groups,
losing you, I think, Tanu.
oh, yeah, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we were trying to do is we are trying to reduce. I mean, we can't reduce the team formation, but we want to. I think I'm not audible.
Sorry, I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
your
think
voice is
Yashita, you
breaking.
can take it. I think because I'm in the cafe now, I think it's not working. But you can take over and
Yeah.
yeah.